Hi everyone! In this video, what I want to do is I want to share with you how I created an app, a mini app, by using ChatGPT. And the mini app that you see here is the one that we will be generating. And this was introduced to me via an online course that I'm currently doing on how to learn programming. And I will share with you how, what the challenge is. Then I share with you the solution, and I will also share with you how I did this, and we will test if we can regenerate what I created. If not, doesn't matter if we are not able to regenerate it, because I have the code obviously, and I can share with you what I did previously so that you can see what I did and what was the result. And then also how you can deploy this little mini app so that when you want to share it with friends, for example, or you just want to be really excited that you built something that you even weren't before aware that you can build it, that you know how it works, and you can share it with friends or family or whoever you want to share it with. So let's get started. So the project I did is, I quickly jump over here. So it's called Scrimba, and I found Scrimba while looking for a program where I can learn to program. Or like a learning program. And a lot of learning programs cost a lot of money. And this is not advertisement, so I don't get any kind of referral links from Scrimba. But I just found it out recently and I really enjoy it. And the reason I enjoy it is that you can directly type in here, so you can do a bit of hands-on learning. And I just love hands-on learning. I do a lot of YouTube videos where I just learn and do it by the side. And so this is what I like. And they gave me this little project to generate a random password. And the requirements is build it from scratch, generate 2 random passwords when the user clicks the button, and each password should be 15 characters long. Well, I am, let's say, a bit lazy sometimes, and at the same time very curious about AI. And for that reason, I thought, okay, let's not program this by ourselves. Let's try to use ChatGPT. And that's what I did. So I went to ChatGPT, and here what you see is basically me putting in what I put in to generate the app that you saw in here. You see here something gray. I don't really know why ChatGPT is not able to recall it. But what I inputted here is basically an image of this app. So generate a random password. This image is what I used. And then I put this image in here. And what I did is then to say, can you please help me build an app? The requirements are the following. I want to build it in JavaScript. The design has to look like the image that I attached. So basically this image. So I didn't put the requirements, just the image. And then I said the additional requirements I have to be the following. Generate 2 random passwords when the user clicks the button. So green text like equals generate password. So I just wanted to make really clear what kind of button the user should press. And these need to be displayed in the lower 2 boxes as seen on the image. Each password should be 15 characters long, and there's one array you can use to generate the password from, constant characters. And then I posted in this, this long constant character piece here. And so what ChatGPT did for me was to say, sure, I can guide you through building a simple password generator app in JavaScript, along with the HTML and CSS needed to make it look like the design in the image you have provided. Since I can't create files for you, I'll give you the code snippets for each part, which you can then input together in your own files. And here what we see. It put me all the HTML style. So what we see is here the doc type, the HTML tags, and then it put all the head. And then in the body, it put here the class container, generate a random password, never use an insecure password again, and then the button here with an ID, and the idea for the 2 password boxes. Then it went on and said, okay, here's the CSS style. And then it inputs all the CSS style. And then here in JavaScript, you can see it gives the constant characters, what we provided to him. And then it put the function. I don't really know why it put the function above the document get element by ID. So I would first get this one. So here you get all these different elements from the HTML document, and then you have the function here to generate the random password. So it gives you here the password length. It gives you that's empty for now. And then for it takes this loop. And then he gives you here this random index. And in the end, return the password. And then it even gives you some insights here where it says to create your password generator app, save the HTML code into an index HTML, the styles and the JavaScript. Make sure all 3 files are saved in the same directory, and then open the index HTML file in a web browser to use your password generator app. And then the JavaScript code listens for a click event on the generate passwords button. When clicked, it calls the generate random. So this is what it gave me. And so let's just do this. So let's take the HTML here. We can copy the code. We go in here and we say we go to index HTML. What I like to do is to copy this or like paste it below, because then I can see, okay, is there anything that I'm missing here? So for example, you see that in the header, it says style sheet and then index CSS. And here it says style sheet and then styles CSS. But we have an index CSS. So let's put this to index. And then the rest should be exactly the same. So we have the body, we have the head, and we have the HTML. So now we can put this away. And now we can even run this. And well, nothing really happens. And we don't see the, let's see, maybe we have to preview this here again. So here you see now we have a preview. So this is how it looks like. We have the generate a random password. We have never used an insecure password again. We have generate passwords, and we have here the 2 buttons. So no design yet, but it works so far. So let's go back. And now let's take the CSS. So I do copy code. I go to here. I open my CSS file. I leave this there for now. And I type this in. We have it all in here. Body margin 0. We have margin 0 here as well. So we can just take this out. And we can run it again. And now you see this looks much better already. However, these 2 are not, how do you say this, next to each other, but they are below. But we can just keep it as it is for now. So now let's go back and use the JavaScript. So we copy the code, we go to the project, we do index.jss, and we copy the code below. We see that this is the similar one. So we take this one out, take this one in. We have here, we can move the document up, but we can just leave it as it is for now. So let's take it as it is and run this again. And we see nothing happens. The question is, why is nothing happening? And so let's go to the index HTML. And what we see below here is that ChatGPT gave us a script with the name script.js, but we have a JS file that is called index.js. So let's take this and move it to index. And let's run it again and see what happens now. Ta-da! It works. So now it works. We can refresh and it works again. So now what you see is, I mean, it looks nice, but it doesn't look exactly as in the image. So what we can do now is that we can adapt this and we can adapt the style. So we don't necessarily do this now in the video because, I mean, I already did that, but you can now, you know, like what I did, for example, was because I felt exactly the same. I was like, that's looking good, but it doesn't really look exactly how I want to have it. So I went to ChatGPT and said, hey, ChatGPT, that's great. But how can I make sure with CSS that the password boxes are not below each other, but next to each other? I made a mistake here. And then ChatGPT said, to ensure that the password boxes are next to each other, you'll need to modify the CSS for the container that holds them. You can use Flexbox to accomplish this easily. Here's how you could update your CSS to place the input boxes side by side. And now it gives me the password boxes and the password boxes input as additional insights. And now what we could do is go back to the project, go to the index.css, have a quick look, password boxes input. So this is what we already have. And what we can do is to copy that code, put this below here, and see what it gives us. So other styles, we don't need this because we already have the other styles. Password boxes is completely new, so we leave this in here, but let's move this up to above. So we put this here. And then for the password boxes input, the margin, the padding, see here, the width is something that it added. So we add here the width now, not 100%, but we use this width that it gives us, and it says this calculates the width to be half of the parent minus half of the gap. So we take this out, and let's see anything else. Background, border, color, font size, radius, this stays exactly the same. So we can delete that. We know the differences and we can run it again. And now you see when we generate passwords, the passwords are next to each other. Now what you see for me, and in this one, I changed a bit of the coloring. So I added a border, I added here a bit of like a pink wording, and I ended up here making this a bit in a different color. If we generate the password, it works perfect. So this is something, let's go back. So this is something that you can just do. You have this contact, you have here the index CSS file, you can play around, you can make a nicer color or a different color. And in that sense, you can style this little piece of code here by yourself. But the important thing is, we just did this. And this was a thing, or like a programming exercise of maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, just simply by asking ChatGPT to do it for us. So what did I do afterwards? So I took the code. I mean, this is really specifically now for this program here in Scrimba and the learning environment. But obviously you can do this for Visual Studio Code. You can just input this there, or you can put it wherever you want, maybe Replit, where you can also input the code, and then you can deploy this afterwards. So what I did, I downloaded all these code files. And after I downloaded all these code files, I went to something that's called Netlify. And Netlify allows you to have here an account. I have currently a free account. And then I clicked on add a new site, and I added and created this new site where I basically manually uploaded all these files and all these, let's say, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. Very simple. And now when you click on it, you see here my FF random password generator, which is manually deployed. You see, no, you don't see. Yeah, here you have to click on site configuration, and then you can give it a different name. You have some additional details here around it. So it was basically really basic, just to check out, okay, what is possible? What can ChatGPT generate? And after I had this here deployed. And now if we, refresh this whole app, then we can use it and we can generate passwords, as many as we want. And then when we are done, we can just refresh it again. Obviously, there is a lot of things missing for it to be a real app, for it to really have possibility for you, for example, if you do password generator, to save your passwords, to have an account behind that. So that's a completely different story. But what I like and what I think is awesome is that you basically can create very tiny little apps by yourself with the help of ChatGPT in a very matter of just some minutes. And with that, you can play around, you can learn to code, you can learn to better understand how it works. And I think this gives you a lot of more possibilities than if you would not have the ability to use it and just try it out of what amazing products you can build. So hope you like this video. If you like it, I would be amazed and really happy if you can just subscribe to my channel, where I share more of those little videos as I go along my own learning journey, as well as I go along and see something that I think is really important and that might be helpful for you as well. And with that, have a great day and maybe see you in one of my next videos.